This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. It's Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. I'm Clayton Neville in for John Trout. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Michael Cohen spends his second day on the witness stand as the Speaker of the House attends in a show of support for Donald Trump in his hush money trial. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
President Biden is adding to tensions with Beijing, hiking tariffs on items made in China, including electric vehicles. Jennifer King, Washington.
We'll update you on the outcome of the West Virginia and Maryland Senate primaries, and a bus carrying Florida farm workers crashes, leaving at least 8 dead. We'll have the latest.
On Wall Street, stocks are coming off a record-setting day, and we get the latest on inflation this morning. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Police continue to search for a boater responsible for running over a teenage girl in Florida. I'm Pamela Furr.
A judge has rejected Hunter Biden's bid to delay his federal gun case trial. Sagar Magani, Washington.
All ahead on America in the Morning. As Donald Trump's former lawyer and fixer Michael Cohen set for a second day of testimony in the New York hush money trial, the former president received an in-person show of support from House Speaker Mike Johnson. John Stolnis has more on that from Washington.
President Trump is a friend, and I wanted to be here to support him.
Speaker Johnson appearing inside the courthouse after Trump briefly spoke to reporters as yesterday's court hearing got underway, sitting inside the courtroom for about an hour before a press briefing in which he criticized the Biden administration for bringing these charges against the former president during an election season.
It's painfully obvious that we're now 6 months out from an election day, and that's the reason. That is the reason why they brought these charges here and across the country.
Like Republican Senators J.D. Vance and Tommy Tuberville the day before, Speaker Johnson hammering the prosecution's star witness Michael Cohen as untrustworthy.
This is a man who is clearly on a mission for personal revenge and who is widely known as a witness who has trouble with the truth. He is someone who has a history of perjury and is well known for it.
Before the day's proceeding, Trump noted the support he's getting from Republican allies in light of the fact he's under a gag order and cannot speak about the trial himself.
I do have a lot of surrogates, and they are speaking very beautifully, and they come all from all over Washington, and they're highly respected, and they think this is the greatest scam they've ever seen.
Critics argue Trump is instructing these surrogates on what to say to get around the gag order. Meanwhile, Cohen's second day on the witness stand featured intense cross-examination by Trump attorney Todd Blanche, accusing him of turning on his former boss, motivated by vengeance and a desire to avoid longer jail sentences by using insider information to turn on the former president. Blanche played a portion of a podcast in which Cohen said Trump, quote, needs to wear handcuffs and do the perp walk. While focusing on Cohen's character and credibility, Blanche did not challenge Cohen's assertion that Trump was instrumental in payouts to Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, and that they were motivated by a desire to keep alleged affairs with the women from the voters 2 months before the 2016 election. At the end of yesterday, Trump expressing confidence in where things stand.
Today we had a very good day in court. You see what's happening, and you'll have to report it because I can't talk about it too much. But I think it was a very, very good day.
John Stolnis, Washington.
China is accusing the United States of bullying as new tariffs are slapped on Chinese-made products. Correspondent Jennifer King reports this includes electric vehicles and other tech items.
The fact is, American workers can outwork and outcompete anyone, as long as the competition is fair. But for too long, it hasn't been fair.
President Biden is adding to tensions with Beijing, hiking tariffs on items made in China, including electric vehicles, advanced solar cells, medical equipment, steel, and aluminum.
A 100% tariff on electric vehicles made in China. People say, wow. Because we're not going to let China flood our market, making it impossible for American auto manufacturers to compete fairly.
White House officials say the tariffs will help thwart China's efforts to dominate the market for emerging technologies.
The president, this entire administration has been concerned about unfair practices by the PRC.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan.
The issue of overcapacity, the ways in which China has put in place a series of non-market distorting practices in strategic sectors. And he has said consistently, I'm going to stand up and push back against that.
One point of U.S. concern, there aren't a lot of Chinese EVs on the market in the U.S. right now, but officials worry the vehicles could start flooding the U.S. market. The move prompted a rebuke from China's foreign minister. Meanwhile, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has threatened broad 10% tariffs against all imports from rivals and allies alike.
On the electric vehicles that Biden is pushing down everybody's throat, even though people don't want them, he wants to put a big tariff on China, which is a suggestion that I said, where have you been for 3.5 years? They should have done it a long time ago. But they've also got to do it on other vehicles, and they have to do it on a lot of other products, because China's eating our lunch right now.
He tells supporters the U.S. is falling behind China by not betting on oil to keep powering the economy. Jennifer King, Washington.
Those are the top stories of the day, sponsored by Sleep Number. Save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed for a limited time only at Sleep Number stores or sleepnumber.com. Primary elections held yesterday in 2 American states are expected to have big-time implications in the Senate. So who won and which party fared best? We'll tell you when America in the Morning returns. Stay with us. Some parts of the United States just can't shake that wet weather this spring. Summer's coming, I promise. I don't know if that's a good thing. Matt Rindy's here. He's our meteorologist. He's got your forecast.
There is another storm moving through the Plain States today into tonight. This will lead to several showers and thunderstorms throughout the region. Showers and a few thunderstorms will start the day through portions of the Dakotas into western Minnesota, southeast Wyoming, into Nebraska. And as the system progresses farther east into the plains, there'll be an increased chance for heavier thunderstorms this afternoon through southeast Nebraska and continuing through Kansas into Oklahoma and West Texas. These southernmost storms will be a little more isolated but can become quite gusty with damaging winds, large hail, and even a tornado. Additional showers and thunderstorms will continue to expand eastward through the night into the eastern parts of Texas and Oklahoma, as well as Iowa and Missouri. Farther east, a broad area of low pressure will provide a good portion of the eastern third of the country with widespread rain and thunderstorms. That will expand the area from New England to Florida and westward through portions of Indiana, southward to Alabama. There'll be 2 areas of gusty thunderstorms with this system that should develop in central Florida, with a risk for drenching rain, damaging winds, and even a tornado, and the eastern Carolinas receiving strong winds and hail. Farther north, there will be steadier rain with plenty of clouds through the middle Atlantic. This will lead to a cooler afternoon. In New England, there will be more infrequent showers with some breaks in the clouds. In the Great Lakes, in between these two systems, will be a mixture of clouds and sun with afternoon highs in the 60s and 70s. Heading out west, we'll have some scattered thunderstorms in some of the mountains. That's the weather across America. It'll be a cloudy, cool day in Newark, New Jersey with occasional rain and drizzle at a high of 65. Las Vegas, Nevada, by contrast, will have plenty of sunshine and a hot afternoon with a high of 96. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember to follow us everywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. 2 American states held primaries with big-time implications on Capitol Hill yesterday. The implications in the presidential race not so significant in Maryland or in West Virginia, but Congress certainly a different story. Governor Larry Hogan took the Republican nod in a Senate race where he'll face Angela Alsobrooks, who beat David Trone in the Democratic Senate primary there.
We've got to move forward as a party.
Alsobrooks stressed the importance of unity among Democrats, as Trone said.
Our focus to keep the Senate blue.
In Maryland's 3rd District, State Senator Sarah Elfreth won the very crowded Democratic primary there, beating Harry Dunn. He's the former Capitol police officer who helped defend the Capitol during the January 6th riots. Attorney General Patrick Morrisey won the Republican primary for West Virginia governor. And in the GOP primary for West Virginia Senator, Governor Jim Justice beat Alex Mooney. All eyes on the Senate races as Democrats hang on to a slim majority. Primaries were held yesterday in Maryland, West Virginia, and in Nebraska. A bus accident in central Florida kills several people and leaves more than 3 dozen injured. Correspondent Mike Hempen reports the school bus involved was carrying migrant workers.
A bus carrying farm workers collided with a pickup truck and overturned Tuesday morning in Marion County, Florida, killing 8 people and injuring at least 40 passengers. Florida Highway Patrol spokesman Lieutenant Pat Reardon says after the collision, the bus swerved off State Road 40.
The school bus traveled off the roadway onto the grass shoulder, where it went through a fence, struck a tree, and overturned.
Marion County resident Ashley Smith says she has noticed heavier traffic on State Road 40 since moving into the area.
I moved out here 5 years ago, and the traffic has been extremely worse since moving out this way.
Reardon and Smith making their comments on WFTV. There's no immediate indication that weather was a factor. It's also not known if the bus had seatbelts. I'm Mike Hempen.
A big day on Wall Street yesterday. Jessica Ettinger standing by. She'll have Wednesday business when America in the Morning returns after this. The Business Report, sponsored by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments takes a disciplined approach with investing, helping clients navigate volatile markets. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger with Wednesday Business.
Wall Street opens this morning after a winning day yesterday for stocks. The S&P 500 index just 7 points away from its record high. The NASDAQ opens this morning at a new record high. Google is launching AI overviews in search this week.
So this is search with generative AI added to it. So it's no longer the 10 blue links that you typically see from a traditional search. So search is going to look very different for everyone in the U.S. by the end of this week.
CNBC's Deirdre Bosa from Google I/O, the developers conference. Another new streaming bundle is coming.
A new streaming bundle that would involve Peacock, Netflix, and Apple TV. The price on this bundle yet to be determined, is my understanding. You are starting to see the rebundling of entertainment streaming services. Remember, it was last week we saw an announcement. Warner Brothers Discovery's Max will be packaged along with Disney's Disney Plus and Hulu.
CNBC's David Faber. Meme stocks soared again yesterday, although they pulled back from those triple-digit gains on Monday. GameStop yesterday was up more than 50%. AMC, BlackBerry costs all higher.
We wish you all the best, but have some type of a plan to say, I am going to get out of my position when X occurs, whatever you decide that is, because there was a lot of people who didn't have an exit plan last time, and some of the stocks are coming back right now. A lot of them did not. I'm thinking Bed Bath & Beyond, for example, was part of this first meme stock mania.
Trade Ideas strategist Michael Noss on CNBC. By the way, Bed Bath & Beyond went out of business. The parent company of Smoky Bones Barbecue in Twin Peaks, the restaurant chains, Fat Brands, it's filed to issue stock to the public. The confidential filing comes just days, though, after the company and its chairman were federally criminally charged in a bogus loan scheme. Fat Brands also owns Johnny Rockets.
So, Jessica, what's the big disconnect with American consumers?
Many are saying one thing and doing another. The same people complaining that eggs or burgers are too expensive. Well, they're spending bigger than ever on travel and experiences.
You have the same consumer out there spending on travel, going to events, concerts, sporting events. At the same time, that same consumer might be walking into a store and really thinking carefully about how they're spending, looking for the best discount. It's not one story for the consumer. It creates a lot of complications in the narrative.
MasterCard economist Michelle Meyer on CNBC. On today's watch list, it's busy. Inflation comes 8:30 a.m. Eastern, the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. That will move the markets today. We also get the latest on retail sales, earnings from Cisco, and the NFL releases its schedule for the new season today.
A federal judge again denying a request by lawyers for the president's son. We've got details when America in the Morning returns after this. A 15-year-old girl water skiing in the waters off Miami was struck and killed by a boat that never stopped. Pamela Furr reports on the search for the person responsible.
We have multiple reports of a person got run over by a boat.
Ella Adler was the victim of the horrific crash on the water near Key Biscayne, Florida.
A lot of flood in the water.
She had been celebrating the birthday of a family friend when she was hit.
She was
wearing a life jacket, as well as the ski board was on her feet.
That's Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission spokesperson Jordan Renouse, who tells local TV station WSVN the boat that hit her never stopped.
And it's going to be white to light blue in color with blue or dark blue bottom paint, as well as 2 whiteboard engines, but it could be up to 4 whiteboard engines based on different witness reports.
Adler was a ballerina with the Miami City Ballet and was a dedicated student at Ransom Everglades School. Authorities say there is a total reward of up to $20,000 for information about the boater or the vessel involved in the crash. I'm Pamela Furr.
A federal judge has again denied a request by lawyers for the president's son, Hunter Biden, to delay his gun case trial. Washington correspondent Sagar Magani reports.
The president's son wanted the trial to start in September, with his lawyers arguing they need the time to line up witnesses and review evidence. But the judge in Delaware set a June 3rd trial date, saying she believes everyone can get done what needs to be done by then. Hunter Biden is accused of lying about his drug use 6 years ago on a form he used to buy a gun. His lawyers have said he did not break the law, and he has pleaded not guilty. It would be the first of 2 trials the younger Biden faces next month, along with a tax case in California. Sagar Magani, Washington.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, May 15th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm Clayton Neville in for John Trout, and this is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm Clayton Neville in for John Trout. Coming up this half hour, another day of Michael Cohen on the stand for the Trump hush money trial and the latest on college campus protests.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken has made an unannounced trip to Ukraine. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Smoke and haze from the Canadian wildfires have spread over at least 6 states in the Midwest. I'm Bob Brown.
More financial issues for Rudy Giuliani and a stay for Arizona's abortion ban.
A new social media app with a personal human touch. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
John Legend opens up about why he's leaving The Voice. I'm Kevin Carr.
A new name appears on the top 10 baby names list for last year. I'm Shelley Adler.
Back after these messages. Those are the top stories of the day, sponsored by Sleep Number. Save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed for a limited time only at Sleep Number stores or at sleepnumber.com. Meteorologist Matt Rindy's with us. Matt.
In the eastern U.S., a broad area of low pressure will provide a good portion of the eastern third of the country with widespread rain and thunderstorms. That area is going to expand from New England to Florida and westward through portions of Indiana, southward to Alabama. There will be 2 areas where gusty thunderstorms can develop, with central Florida having a risk for some drenching rain, damaging winds, and even a thunderstorm, and the eastern Carolinas receiving strong winds and hail. Farther north, there will be steadier rain with plenty of clouds through the mid-Atlantic. This will lead to a cooler afternoon. In New England, there will be more infrequent showers with some breaks in the clouds. In the Great Lakes, there will be a mixture of clouds and sun, a nice afternoon with highs in the 60s and 70s. Looking out west, there will be some scattered showers and thunderstorms over the mountains, especially in Wyoming and Colorado, but also including areas in the Four Corners and even parts of the Sierra Nevada. The rest of the west will be largely dry with a good amount of sunshine and afternoon temperatures 5 to 15 degrees above the historical average, with most areas in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Another storm moving through the Plains states today into tonight will lead to several showers and thunderstorms throughout the region. Showers and a few thunderstorms will start the day in portions of the Dakotas into western Minnesota and southeast Wyoming into Nebraska. As this system moves farther east into the plains, there will be an increased chance for heavier thunderstorms this afternoon through southeast Nebraska and continuing through Kansas into Oklahoma and West Texas. The southernmost storms will be a little more isolated, but could also be kind of gusty with damaging winds, large hail, and even a tornado. Additional showers and thunders will continue to expand eastward through the night. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember to follow us everywhere you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Day 17 of the Donald Trump hush money trial in New York City included the Speaker of the House calling for an end to the proceedings and the former president's former attorney on the witness stand, facing questions from Trump's legal team. Correspondent Julie Walker reports that Michael Cohen talked about payments he received, and a gag order not applying to everyone was also talked about.
This is the fifth week that President Trump has been in court for this sham of a trial. They are doing this intentionally to keep him here and keep him off of the campaign trail. And I think everybody in the country can see that for what it is.
A tense start to cross-examination in Donald Trump's hush money trial, with the former president's lawyer reminding Michael Cohen, who was once Trump's lawyer also, of some choice words he had to say leading up to his testimony. Cohen has been vocal on social media about Trump, his inner circle, and the case. The prosecution had already gotten Cohen to admit to a sordid past of lies and jail time for perjury. One of the last things Cohen told jurors while testifying for the defense was that he regrets the lies, which is a reason he named his podcast Mea Culpa, but he doesn't regret working for Trump.
I have a gag order, so I think it's totally unconstitutional, and we'll test that. This will be tested, because this should never happen to another candidate or another person, what's happening here.
A New York appellate court denies and dismisses Donald Trump's appeal of his gag order in his hush money criminal trial, finding that Judge Juan Merchan properly determined that Trump's public statements posed a significant threat to the integrity of the testimony of witnesses. Before court, Trump had this to say.
The gag order has to come off. So when you ask me a question about the people that we're talking about, I'm not allowed to answer. There's never been anything like this in the history of our country.
Trump's lawyers argued the gag order is an unconstitutional curb on the presumptive Republican nominee's free speech rights. In its ruling, a 5-judge panel of the Intermediate Appeals Court noted Trump wasn't claiming that the gag order had infringed on his right to a fair trial.
Today we had a very good day in court. You see what's happening, and you'll have to report it because I can't talk about it too much. But I think it was a very, very good day.
At court in Manhattan, Julie Walker.
While there are still some anti-Israel protests on American college campuses, there certainly aren't as many in the past few weeks. And in some cases, including at Harvard University, the schools made deals with protesters to take down those encampments. The encampment started on Ivy League campuses on the East Coast and spread nationwide, protesting American support for Israel. President Biden made an early clarification.
It's against the law when violence occurs. Destroying property is not a peaceful protest. It's against the law. Vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, forcing the cancellation of classes and graduations. None of this is a peaceful protest.
Students demanded their schools divest from ties with companies who do business with Israel and asked the schools to condemn Israel's retaliation in the October 7th attacks by Hamas. This organizer at the University of Wisconsin-Madison said the school is coming around.
UWM, in an official and public statement, will not only call for a ceasefire, but will officially and explicitly call out Israel's genocide in Gaza.
WISN TV in Wisconsin spoke with the Jewish community there, who's outraged.
The letter that was sent out, the statement of the university, was so egregious, was so insulting, false, defaming, and leading to more harm to the Jewish community. It has wounded us so greatly that that is our focus right now.
Now, most agreements with protesters and universities involve amnesty for the demonstrators and give them a chance to have input in university investment. But as far as divestment goes, not necessarily discussed. At Harvard, an encampment was shut down after the school agreed to meet with protesters about their questions and ways to move forward. And in a case of musical diplomacy, Secretary of State Antony Blinken used a guitar to help boost spirits during an unannounced trip to Ukraine, which is facing a renewed Kremlin offensive. It's being described as a second Russian invasion. Washington correspondent Sagar Magani reports.
The United States is and will remain a committed partner. We've traveled a long road together these past couple of years, and we've seen the extraordinary courage of the Ukrainian people. And we know that that courage endures, and that only reinforces our determination to do everything we can to help ensure your success.
In a Kyiv bar, Blinken said Ukrainians are suffering and their soldiers are fighting.
Not just for a free Ukraine, but for the free world.
The coming weeks and months will demand a great deal of Ukrainians who have already sacrificed so much. But I have come to Ukraine with a message. You are not alone.
And on stage with a local band, played rhythm guitar and sang to a Neil Young classic. The performance came amid what analysts have called one of the most dangerous moments for Ukraine since Russia's full-scale invasion started. Blinken said billions of dollars in American military aid is on the way.
And that's going to make a real difference.
Moscow's forces have been hammering the northeastern Kharkiv region.
The people are under attack. Civilians and warriors, everybody.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky pleaded with Blinken for more Patriot air defense systems.
We're determined, along with many other partners for Ukraine, to make sure that you succeed on the battlefield. We're equally determined that over time, Ukraine stands strongly on its own feet, militarily, economically, democratically. A strong, successful, thriving, free Ukraine is the best possible rebuke to Putin.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
Deja vu in parts of Canada as wildfires begin to spread. What's the impact here in the States? We'll tell you when America in the Morning returns. Stay with us. It's starting to look like last year all over again. Bob Brown reports that a number of out-of-control Canadian wildfires are causing air quality alerts in at least 8 states.
Smoke and haze from the Canadian wildfires have spread over at least 6 states in the Midwest, forcing health officials to post air quality alerts and warnings. Those states include Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Oklahoma. NBC News reports there are currently nearly 150 active wildfires burning, including dozens in British Columbia and Alberta, with many identified as out of control, according to the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Center. In Des Moines, Iowa, KCCI-TV meteorologist Ann Campolongo says air quality should improve by later today, but up until now, people continue breathing in that yellowish, smoky air.
Overall, we've got clouds, and that's coupled with the smoke and the haze coming from Canada. So if you do have sensitivities to those air particles in the air, just limit your time outdoors until the smoke really starts to clear.
Canadian authorities say last year's wildfires destroyed a record 45 million acres of land. Things aren't looking too good for at least the start of this year's wildfire season. The Canadian government says drought conditions are expected through May. I'm Bob Brown.
A New York bankruptcy judge has denied Rudy Giuliani a chance to pursue an appeal of a $148 million defamation judgment for spreading lies about the 2020 election. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer has the story.
Giuliani declared bankruptcy in December after he was ordered to pay 2 former election workers for spreading a false conspiracy theory about their role in the 2020 election. Since then, Giuliani has missed deadlines to file financial disclosure reports, and he has not succeeded in selling residences in New York and Florida. Attorneys for Giuliani say the issues have been ironed out and that they will file the necessary financial filings. Last week, Giuliani was suspended from WABC Radio, where he had a daily show over what the station called his repeated violation of a ban on discussing discredited 2020 election claims. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The Arizona Supreme Court has granted a motion to stop the enforcement of a Civil War-era law that would ban almost all abortions in the state. The Arizona Attorney General had asked for a 90-day delay for enforcing the ban that was passed by the legislature. Now, the decision comes 2 weeks after Arizona's Governor Katie Hobbs signed a law to repeal that ban. In Arizona, abortion is currently banned after 15 weeks of pregnancy. The 1864 law bans nearly all abortions except to save a woman's life, no exceptions for rape or incest. It's expected voters will have the final say after reproductive rights groups collected enough signatures to get the issue on the November ballot. And severe weather in parts of the Plain States and the Southeast has people on edge, and a person in Louisiana died when a strong storm pelted the Pelican State. Rita Foley reports.
It's been one of the most active periods of severe weather ever in this country, says the National Weather Service. From April 25th through May 10th, hundreds of tornadoes were confirmed, and the bad weather's not over yet. At least one person died near the town of Henderson, Louisiana, after storms rolled through several southern states. Some of the worst weather was in the Florida Panhandle, where a tornado watch was in effect. Roads flooded and stalled vehicles in Escambia County. There were also flash flood warnings for Alabama's Gulf Coast, where more than 3 inches of rain had fallen. Florida and parts of Georgia have again been under the threat of severe weather, with tornadoes still possible. Another area at risk of storms, parts of Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama. I'm Rita Foley.
With all the artificial apps and negative news on social media platforms today, it's nice to see a newcomer with positive outlook and a focus on smaller social groups. Here's Chuck Palm. He's got today's tech news.
It seems that private social networking is making a comeback. Gratitude Plus, a startup that aims to shift social media into a more positive direction, is expanding its wellness-focused personal reflections journal to include support for families who want to stay in touch even when they're physically distant. The gratefulness-focused app is not meant to be used with wide audiences. Instead, it encourages users to establish healthier relationships and better mental wellness by habits that offer a space for journaling, mood tracking, and staying in touch with family and friends through small private circles within the app. Founder and app developer Daniel Schaefer said, "I designed it to be very simple. I wanted people to feel like they were writing in an elegant journal." Upon opening, it asks a simple question. List 3 things that you're grateful for today. Or you can change it up and say, what made you smile today? What are you looking forward to? Reminders can also be set to shuffle mode, so you get a new one every day. Another nice feature is an anonymous community share where you can get support from other users. Add me as Chuck Palm.
Robert Workman's here. He's got sports.
NBA playoffs last night, the conference semifinals. Nuggets rocked the Timberwolves 112-95 to go up 3-2 in that series. Nikola Jokic with an MVP-level performance, 40 points and 13 rebounds. It's a must-win for Minnesota at home tomorrow night. Knicks pummeled the Pacers 121-91 for a 3-2 lead in that best of 7, rebounding from a 32-point loss at Indiana in Game 4. Jalen Brunson back in form, 44 points, his 5th game with at least 40 this postseason.
Just doing what we do and sticking to our values, our core principles, and just doing the things that we do that help us be successful.
Game 6 is Friday in Indianapolis, pushed back a day for Caitlin Clark's WNBA home debut tomorrow night. She made her pro debut last night for the Indiana Fever, scoring 20 points and committing 10 turnovers in a loss at the Connecticut Sun. Stanley Cup playoff second round in the East, the Bruins avoid elimination with a 2-1 win over the Panthers, who still lead the series 3-2. Game 6 is Friday in Boston. In the West, a wild finish in Edmonton, where the Canucks pulled their goalie late and got the tying goal with less than 2 minutes to play, only to have the Oilers answer in the final minute, giving the home team a 3-2 win and leveling the series at 2-2. Baseball, the Phillies blanked the Mets 4-0. Aaron Nola tossed a 4-hitter for his 4th career shutout. Marlins outlasted the Tigers 1-0 in 10 innings. Braves blew by the Cubs 7-0. Chris Sale and the Jibs allowed just 3 hits. Nationals and White Sox split a pair. Washington won the first game 6-3. Chicago took the nightcap 4-0 behind former Nat Eric Fetty. He combined with 2 relievers on a 4-hitter. He's 4-0 this year. Break up the Rockies. They beat the Padres for their 6th straight win after winning just 8 of their first 36 games this season. That's Wednesday Sports.
There's a list of top baby names out. Yeah, the most popular ones may surprise you. We'll get to that coming up. America in the Morning returns after this. A federal appeals court will soon rule on the case of a transgender woman's admission into a Wyoming University sorority. Correspondent Donna Warder reports.
In their lawsuit, the 6 women challenged the membership of Artemis Langford by casting doubt on whether sorority rules allow a transgender woman. The lawsuit and appeal describe in detail how Langford's presence made the women feel uncomfortable in the sorority house. Yet sorority leaders overrode their concerns after a vote by local chapter members to admit Langford. A Wyoming judge threw out the original lawsuit last year, ruling that he could not override how a private voluntary organization defines a woman. Langford is not named as a defendant in the appeal, rather the National Sorority of Kappa Kappa Gamma and its president. I'm Donna Warder.
Singer John Legend is explaining why he's leaving The Voice and what he thinks about the upcoming season. Kevin Carr has more on that.
As we head towards the 25th season finale of The Voice, John Legend speaks out about what's in store for him in the show.
If only I were actually going to take a break.
E.T.'s Cassie DeLora caught up with Legend on the red carpet this week and asked him what his plans are after he leaves at the end of the season.
We've always got so many things going on. I'll be doing a lot of shows this summer and traveling overseas this summer, and I'll be back.
The 45-year-old Legend, who started coaching for season 16 in 2019, also took the 23rd season off for similar reasons, to do touring and spend time with his family. Chance the Rapper and Dan and Shay will also be leaving The Voice at the end of the season, while Reba McEntire stays as the remaining coach. She'll be joined next season by The Voice veteran Gwen Stefani, as well as new coaches Snoop Dogg and Michael Bublé. Legend says he's looking forward to the new blood on the show.
It's exciting to incorporate some new people into the Voice family as well. We've been around for 25 seasons, and part of how we continue to stay fresh is introducing new coaches to the Voice family. And I think Michael and Snoop will do really well as coaches, and I'm excited for them. And I'm excited that Gwen and Reba will be back.
The 25th season finale of The Voice airs on NBC on Monday at 8 p.m. and Tuesday at 9. I'm Kevin Carr.
Move over, Jane and Joe. Correspondent Shelley Adler reports on the new list of the 10 top baby names of the year.
A new name appears on the top 10 baby names list for last year. Liam and Olivia continue to be very popular names, topping the list for a fifth year. Mateo joins the top 10 list for the very first time. The Social Security Administration gathers the names from card applications. Liam has topped the boys' list for 7 years in a row, while Olivia has topped the girls' edition for 5, after unseating Emma, that had been tops for 5 years. Other top names for boys: Noah, Oliver, and James. Popular for girls: Charlotte, Amelia, and Sophia. I'm Shelley Adler.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, May 15th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm Clayton Neville in for John Trout, and this is Westwood One.